Good evening, and welcome to Bedtime Stories, a presentation of the Florida Gulf Coast chapter of Sisters in Crime. I'm Teresa Michael, president of the chapter and your host. Each weeknight during the Southwest Florida Reading Festival, you will hear a bedtime story from one of our Sisters in Crime authors. Before we get started, I'd first like to offer a big thank you to our festival hosts for providing Sisters in Crime with the opportunity to participate in the festival. The hardworking staff of the Lee County Library System has done an exceptional job organizing the festival. As a reader, author, and Sister in Crime member, I thank you. I also want to tell you a little bit about Sisters in Crime. Our organization is filled with people just like you and me who love mystery, murder, and mayhem. Sisters in Crime was founded in 1986 by 26 women mystery authors, among them Sarah Paretsky, Nancy Picard, and Charlotte McLeod. Its mission to support women mystery writers in the largely man's world of publishing. Back then, even the greatest of women writers struggled for equity in publishing contracts, marketing resources, book award nominations, and access to bookstores, libraries, and reviews. Now, 35 years later, crime writing is no longer a man's world. Women crime writers are thriving, and Sisters in Crime supports more than 4,200 members and 60 chapters worldwide. We are an inclusive, diverse group, bound together by the love of a good crime fiction read. I encourage you to join this truly unique community which shares your passion for mystery, thrillers, and suspense. Learn more about Sisters in Crime and the local chapter in your area on our national website at sistersincrime.org. And now, this is Bedtime Stories. Dr. Tammy Euliano writes medical thrillers. She's inspired by her day job as a physician, researcher, and medical educator. Tonight, she returns to Bedtime Stories with The Fetch Connection, a light and cute mystery, starring a young woman, her playful dog, and a mysterious new neighbor. You never know what you'll find.
Hi, I'm Tammy Euliano, and it's time for another installment of Bedtime Stories. Tonight, we're going to read my story, The Fetch Connection. Ready to go to the lake? I think the dogs understand those words. My husband, Neil, thinks it's all in the delivery. We agree to disagree. The dogs leap into the back seat. Cody, the 60-pound black furball of a rescue dog, on the passenger side, and Katie, short for Acadia, the golden retriever, behind me. The 45-minute drive from the big city of Gainesville to our lake house in the country town of Earlton is a trip back in time. From Publix supermarkets and Shell stations to Williamson's Family Grocery and Joe's Gas and Go. Our long dirt driveway ends with a view of beautiful Lake Santa Fe, sparkling blue on this fine June morning. Before I let the dogs free, I checked next door. We learned last weekend that the current renter is not a dog person. Having a rental next door has been a bigger problem than expected. Nearly every weekend is the same. New neighbors for the dogs to introduce themselves to. No fence separates our yards. It's surprising how many people are fearful of large barking dogs racing toward them at breakneck speed, but always with tails wagging. They never actually collide with anyone, more like a furry game of chicken. Most of the renters are happy to meet them, unless they've just come from a swim, the dogs, not the people. Some are less eager, but Katie and Cody win them all over in the end. Or at least they did until last weekend. He may be a dog hater, but at least he opted for a long-term rental. He'll be here the whole month. Hopefully the dogs will get used to him, or he'll get used to them. Dog hater is nowhere in sight, and there are no cars in the rental's driveway, so I release my dog-shaped torpedoes to explore all the new smells in the yard. I set up my laptop on the patio and start my Friday ritual of writing, interrupted every few minutes by Katie whining that the tennis ball she placed 10 yards away is stationary. The ball's not going to throw itself, Mom. I don't really have time today, with a deadline looming for my response to an article on the opioid epidemic. As an anesthesiologist, I hope to explain why we can't eliminate all opioids. But I also can't say no to my annoying, wonderful dogs. So I bang the Chuck-It, the greatest dog toy ever invented, on the tile, and Cody, the older brother by several years physically and decades in brain power, moves the ball within reach. I toss the ball for him to catch. He prefers catch to fetch, then chuck the ball again into the neighbor's yard for Katie. This routine gives me several minutes to write before the scene replays. And I wonder why I'm so far behind. Every few throws, the dogs run into the lake to cool off, often returning with a different ball. Katie must have them stored all over the neighborhood. She begins barking, joined immediately by Cody. Katie, Cody, come, I say sternly, as if that ever works. They've already begun their mad dash toward another new face. I move to intercept. Not really intercept, but appear to be the good dog owner who was surprised at her dog's failure to obey. They're friendly, they won't hurt you, I yell to the man. He bends over and pets the dogs, and they immediately stop barking and start licking. Some guard dogs. Hi, I'm Jack. The Smiths told you I'd be house sitting for a couple weeks? Yes, nice to meet you. We look out for each other here in the country. As I'm introducing the dogs, Cody starts growling, looking toward the rental house. I grab his collar just in time, though my shoulder regrets it. Over his barking, I say, sorry, I need to take him inside. Let me know if I can help you with anything, as long as it's not peace and quiet. Dogs safely behind a closed door. I'm retrieving my laptop from the porch when they start growling and barking again. Sheesh, they're persistent. Dog hater from next door is walking toward his dog, talking on his phone, or pretending to so he doesn't have to acknowledge me. Wow, when did I become so judgy? I push the dogs back and squeeze inside, yelling at them to hush, which is kind of funny when you think about it. They calm until dog hater comes back from the dock, then they go crazy again. Maybe Cody's not so smart after all. I write and rewrite the article the rest of the afternoon while throwing balls off the dock for Katie to retrieve. Cody's not a swimmer, so I occasionally toss one for him to catch. Dog hater doesn't reappear. Perhaps Cody scared him off, which should make me feel bad since he paid for this vacation, but doesn't because I paid for this house, and if there weren't new people every week, there'd be much less dog drama. When my husband arrives with the pizza, we eat on the dock. Did you finish your article? Almost. It's not a complete lie, but I will need to work more. Katie the Tireless brings another ball, but not one I've seen before. This has a large blue dot on it and feels different. Neil handles it. Must be some kind of practice ball. He bounces it once on the dock. A little bigger and less bounce. He throws it into the water. Katie retrieves it and swims to the ladder where Cody awaits her safe return. Soon she's back, waiting until she's within range to shake. Lucky us. Neil throws the ball several more times, but inevitably it disappears in the weeds when Katie hesitates too long. The number of tennis balls we've donated to the Earlton environment would support Wimbledon for decades. As the sky shifts from blue to pink to red, we talk about work and our kids in college and our upcoming vacation until the mosquitoes send us inside. Katie has another ball in her mouth, again with the blue dot. It must have floated back. The full moon is a bright streak in the water as I stare out from our second floor bedroom. The exhausted dogs are sleeping soundly at last, but someone isn't. A boat motor purrs in the distance, but I see no running lights. Lake Santa Fe is popular with fishermen, but not this late at night. An hour later, I hit send on my article. That took way more time than it should have. As I close my laptop, I notice people on the Smith's dock. It's far away and fairly dark, but I would swear they had scuba tanks. Despite my late night, I'm up to photograph the sunrise. It's gorgeous, orange and blue with bright wedges cutting through from the horizon. Katie can be only so patient with my hobby and soon drops one of the new tennis balls at my feet. This one has a green dot. Where are you getting these, Katie? She has a history of stealing toys from neighbor dogs. I'm not proud of it. I'm startled when Cody tears off down the dock, unrecognizable in his anger. Here we go again. I chase after both dogs. Dog hater grabs Katie's collar. Maybe he's coming around. He tries to pull the ball from her mouth. She doesn't give up a tennis ball easily and turns her head from side to side. I laugh. So many try to be nice and throw the ball for her. Somehow she doesn't realize she has to release it first. But this man isn't smiling. I grab Cody's collar, order him to be quiet, then tell Katie to sit, and she actually obeys. Drop it, I say, and she obeys again. The wonders never cease. The man picks up the slimy ball with a disgusted expression, then turns back to the house. Not a word. He doesn't throw the ball, just takes it. I suppose it could be his, but what's one lousy tennis ball? Or 2, maybe, whatever. I release the dogs and return to retrieve my camera. I glance back to see Katie run around the corner of the neighbor's shed. She must have seen a squirrel. Jack is on his dock. I wave, but decide not to ask about his nighttime visitors. Either I was dreaming and therefore will sound crazy, or I wasn't and therefore will sound nosy. By the time I reach the back door, Katie's there with a ball. It's like she's burping them up. I take it from her, again with the telltale dot. You little thief, you're going to get me in trouble. The man had been so unfriendly. I decide to let Katie play with it for a while. I'll return it to his porch later when he's not home. An hour later, I realize I never fed the dogs. Cody comes running at the telltale clang of kibble, but no Katie. I find her under the kitchen table, tennis ball at her side, sound asleep. Nothing keeps Katie from her food. I try to wake her. No response. My heart pounds, my face heats, tears prick my eyes. Neil? I pull Katie from under the table. She's breathing, but won't wake up. I pull up her eyelids. Her pupils are pinpoints. What's wrong? Neil squats beside me as I wipe a white powder from her face. He picks up the ball. It came from this. I call Art, our neighborhood vet. I think Katie ingested something. Maybe heroin. Neil's eyes widen. I'm on my way. Country folk are awesome. No wonder he wanted his stupid ball back, I say. My pulse pounds behind my eyes. He poisoned my dog. I storm from the house, Neil on my heels. I follow Katie's path around the neighbor's shed and find a hole dug under the wall. In the hole are several spotted tennis balls. Can I help you? It's a male voice, and he doesn't sound much like he wants to help. Or maybe it's the gun dog haters pointing at us from 10 feet away. He holds out his other hand. I'll take that ball. I toss it to him, not my best toss, considering. As he reaches forward to catch it, a large black fur ball beats him to it, slamming into his arm and knocking the gun from his hand. With the ball triumphantly in his mouth, Cody stands over drug-running dog hater, growling and drooling on the man's red face. He shoves Cody back and reaches for his gun. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Jack, the nocturnal scuba diver, holds a gun leveled at the man. DEA, keep your hands where I can see them. Well, that explains a lot. I run back to the house where Art has arrived in his golf cart. He follows me inside, syringe at the ready. Moments after the injection, Katie's eyes open, glassy, but open. Neil arrives with Cody, who sniffs and nudges his sister. I sit with both dogs' heads in my lap and let a few tears fall at the close call. Art leaves me with extra Narcan. Country folk take care of each other, even the four-legged ones. Jack appears. I'm sorry about all that. I wish I could have warned you. We had no idea how he was smuggling the heroin. Scuba divers last night? I asked. You saw us? He always rents houses on water, he shrugs. We didn't find anything. Katie did, I say. She whines and tries to get up, pulling toward the rental house. Other DEA agents have opened the shed and tennis balls rain down. It's doggy heaven for Katie. I hold on tight. No doggy heaven quite yet. Sometimes what appears to be heaven sent isn't. And sometimes people aren't who they appear to be. If in doubt, ask a dog, especially a rescue. The end. I hope you've enjoyed Fetch Connection. I'm Tammy Euliano, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the meeting. Have a good night.
Thank you, Tammy. Tomorrow, Lisa Malice returns to read The Long Happy Death of Ian McTavish.